Hey y'all, it's Amanda. Welcome back to my channel, and this is going to be my October mid-month wrap-up. So, we have got a little different setup today, but I want to have a little cozy vibes. Sitting here with my coffee, my favorite mug, Fraser's Ridge. Hey, you already know, Outlander, hey. So, got that, got my mug, got my coffee. I have, y'all, it's crazy. This month been crazy. I told you I was going to get that reading in, and it's been good. It's been a good reading month. I'm thankful for audiobooks. We're here. We're getting it done. And so, I'm going to do this wrap-up, but I will do, like, a full, like, I know the readathon, the Journey Through the Bible readathon that Katie's doing. I will update, like, where I end up on that at the end of the month after I read everything. Because I may change some of the books that I read for the prompts throughout the month, and I'll just update that at the end of the month for the end of October. But for this, we're just going to do some book reviews. So I've got 8 books to talk about. Y'all, I've been getting a reading tracker. Sky has got a really cool reading tracker. I'm filming on the Hub's phone today, by the way, because I'm doing a vlog on here in the storage struggle. But yeah, it's crazy. So I had 5 3.5 stars, 1 4.5, and 2 4 stars. So it's been crazy. I enjoyed these books in general. Didn't really have any negative comments. There's just a couple that's like, whatever, they're fine. But let's go ahead and jump right in. So the first book that I want to talk about is 2 Parts Sugar, 1 Part Murder by Valerie Burns. I talked a little bit about this in a vlog already, but I picked this up at one of our local bookstores. I went there and I did like a little vlog when I was there. So it's a cute little store that's just recently opened up nearby. And y'all, this was such a cute cozy mystery. The best cozy mystery that I have read so far. It features a cute English Mastiff dog named Baby. Look at the cover. I mean, this cover... Hey, this is first in a new series, and the second one comes out next June, I want to say. So I was so sad they had an author event where she come and she was signing books, but I didn't get to go because I had to work that day. But hey, this book, I devoured it. It's everything I want in a cozy mystery. I gave it 4.5 stars. Just adored it. So this is all about Maddie Montgomery, and she is used to like this fancy life, kind of rich life, because she's been dating this man who I think he's a doctor, whatever, for a really long time, for 8 years. And at the beginning of the story, basically her fiance, this man she's been dating for so long, he gone. He's like, I'm out. And so they at the altar, they are streaming the wedding, and he don't show up. So she don't know what to do next. She's all devastated about this. And Maddie's like, well, what am I going to do? And next thing you know, her great aunt, Octavia, she passes away and leaves her bakery and her home. She goes there. At first, you're just kind of like, okay, this girl, she like wanting first class on a plane. So, and it's a really small plane. And they're like, there is no first class. It's just so funny because she's just so used to this stuff. And so you're like, I don't know about this girl, but you grow to love her because she's really a kind person and funny. And she gets to New Bison, and her aunt has left her bakery and her home. The catch is, hey, you got to run this bakery for a year and live in my home for a year before she can sell it, because she knew that she probably would want to sell it, didn't want to stay there, that kind of thing. So she says, hey, if you want this inheritance kind of stuff, you got to keep this for a year. And so she has to stay, and she can't sell it, and all these people want to buy it, but she ain't selling. And soon she realizes that she doesn't really want to sell it. She loves this place, and she starts wanting to actually try to build the business up. She's really big into social media, so there's a lot of like social media references, and they were kind of fun. Sometimes it's a little much for me. I think that's why I gave it 4.5, because it was a little too much on the social media stuff. Like everything she was posting was all the hashtags and stuff. But I still liked it. It was fine. It was fun to see that, kind of modernized. And the best part about this story is the English Mastiff named Baby. Look at him. There he is. This cover is, I'm loving this. And the dog really makes the story. He is just amazing. So, like I said, she's at this bakery with the dog, the workers at the bakery. Everybody's trying to work together just to try to make this happen, make this business continue on in her aunt's name. When all of a sudden, the mayor he ends up dead. He gone. And the knife that killed him was her bakery knife, and her fingerprints was on it. So it's like, what happened? There's somebody trying to frame her. So everything takes off from there. So Maddie and her friends, they try to piece together this very strange puzzle here because somebody is trying to frame her and it's not good. So like I said, this is a fun ride. I mean, this is clean. This is a hilarious read. There wasn't any language. It was whimsical, a lot of great bakery details. There's some recipes in the back. There is one thing I'll note. There is a main character in this that is suffering from dementia that works at the bakery, and you can kind of see that throughout the book there's a lot of on-page issues that character has with trying to remember things. That's something that you're sensitive to. I just wanted to mention that because I know that can be hard to read if you've had a loved one that's went through that, so just wanted to mention that. But overall, I really enjoyed this. We even had like a couple of mentions. This is a secular book, but we had a couple of mentions of prayer. There was one mention of turning things over to the Lord and letting him handle it. I appreciated that. We had some fun mentions of like Sherlock Holmes and Agatha Christie. So I highly recommend this if you love a cozy mystery. You're gonna love it, okay? I love it, and I can't wait to read the next one. So the next book I read, I got from Thomas Nelson through NetGalley, and that is Within These Gilded Halls by Abigail Wilson. I think for those that really like Regency mystery stories, you're going to enjoy this. I had a lot of fun reading this story. It's all about Phoebe Radcliffe, and she is renovating a ballroom for her art teacher, Miss Drake. And Miss Drake ends up being murdered, and she provides Phoebe with a clue with her very last breath. Phoebe finds her, she has been attacked and she is murdered, and so with her last breath she tells her some clues that can lead her to what's happened to her, and things just get really crazy. This is in a hall, they call it Aventhorpe Hall. There's a lot of questions here. Who killed Miss Drake? There's like some rumored treasure within these halls. Who can we really trust? And then we see Miss Drake's charming nephew, Lieutenant Graham Burke, come in, and you're questioning like, who is this guy? Is he gonna work together with Phoebe to try to like come up with the answers to all these different questions of what's happened? Is he involved in some way? All that stuff. I did talk a little bit about this already in my reading vlog, so a lot of y'all already kind of know my thoughts. If you've already seen that, feel free to skip. But for me personally, this is a fun time. It's a clean Regency read. It's mystery. It has some good historical aspects. I feel like we have a lot of good details with just the time period was great. This gave me like the same feel that The Vanishing at Loxby Manor did. This was really close to a 4-star for me, but I just wasn't like invested in the romance in any way like I would be with other reads, and I just wish we had some faith content here. It was a clean read, but I think Abigail Wilson, someone else said that, I can't remember who said this, but I've seen where others have said that she just really writes more clean reads and not really faith-filled reads, so just going knowing that. But it was still great. I feel like we have some great like Jane Austen, Agatha Christie, and Julie Klassen vibes in this story. Just the descriptions of the ballroom and the halls were just great. I really enjoyed like trying to put together all the clues, like what's happened, who killed this woman, you know, like Phoebe and Graham working together was great. But I wasn't involved in the romance. Like it was fine, you know? So, but some people have said that they are like Elizabeth and Mr. Darcy, and I can see it. I mean, I can see it. So, you know, it's fine. I liked our main character a lot, but I mean, their romance is just whatever for me. But she was struggling with some past mistakes, our main character, and she just seemed like a really realistic character. But I had said, you know, with her struggles that I felt like we had some opportunities for faith content there, and we just didn't get that. So, you know, overall, I think this is enjoyable, and I'm thankful that I have read it, and I'll still keep a lookout for her future books. But yeah, 3.5 stars. The next book I read, I got on NetGalley as well, and this is A Place to Land by Lauren K. Denton. I talked a lot about this in my vlog that I think I uploaded last week, so feel free to skip this review here if you've already seen all that vlog and just want to go on to the next one. But I have timestamps, always got timestamps, but this was also so close to a 4-star for me. I rated 3.5 stars. This is the first book I've read by this author, and I want to keep reading on. I've got one of her other books on my shelf that's actually published by Thomas Nelson, but this one's not published by Thomas Nelson. This is a secular, clean fiction, but I did enjoy it. So this story is all about two sisters, and they're both in their 60s, Violet and Trudy, and so everything from their past is starting to come out here all of a sudden. This been 40 years ago. Her sister Trudy ended up not being able to talk anymore. She had some trauma that in the past. They've been through a lot together with their family, their parents, and so Violet has always been Trudy's protector, just as like her mom was, and she promised her mother that she would always protect her sister. Many years ago, her mom had left her and their dad had passed away, so they were just pretty much on their own. And so things kind of go really extreme one night 40 years ago. There's a traumatic experience that Trudy went through, like I said, that took away her voice, so she becomes mute for like 40 years. They run an art shop, and this is set in Sugar Bend, Alabama. I should have said that, but this is set in the South, so I love a good Southern setting. But like I said, all of a sudden, things just start kind of coming up in their past and resurfacing, and there's a lot of questions. What's happened? There's a mystery here, a big mystery. It kind of gave me a little bit of anxiety. I need to know what's happening. But then we cut to another perspective here. 18-year-old Maya, she's a foster kid. She comes in. She just feels like pulled to go here to Sugar Bend. She sees a sign for the art shop or a show or something, and she feels like that maybe that's a new start. She meets the two sisters, and she becomes part of their family really fast. So I really enjoyed that part. Maya's just like been searching for her place for so long, and you wonder, like, is she gonna find it with these two sisters and that sort of thing. So yeah, I had a great time with this story. I feel like the writing was really addictive to read. I was like turning the pages really fast on my Kindle, and you know, especially like the last 25%, I was like, what? I need to know. I really liked the characters. The mystery aspect was good. The Southern setting, and the dual timeline to the past was interesting. It kind of took me out a little bit, but I still liked seeing that, because sometimes you would get it and then it would just cut, and you didn't know 100% that they were in the past. I don't know if that was just the NetGalley copy I had or what, but I was like, wait a minute, where are we at again? So yeah, that kind of took me out sometimes, and that can happen for me with dual timelines. Just depends. It has to be done really well for me to enjoy it. But I really liked seeing Violet and Trudy in like they were in the late 1970s and early 1980s. And so, yeah, we had some romance with some of the characters here, but ultimately I was more invested in the mystery for sure, to figure out what happened to one of the characters. Only downside on this story is it was kind of predictable, and some of the items that was discussed here I don't necessarily agree with, but I did overall enjoy the story. I want to read more of this author. The ending was heartwarming in a way, but there's just some things that like I didn't agree with. There is a trigger warning here for those that are sensitive to domestic violence, because we have where at the very beginning we have where the sister's parents, her dad was abusive to their mom, and then we have Trudy gets in an abusive relationship. This whole thing was just wild. Like I said, I talked about it in my vlog. There's a death that we're trying to that resurfaces, that we're trying to figure out who killed this man, and yeah, you're just pretty much like, what? Every 5 seconds. So it was good. 3.5 stars. Next book I want to talk about is Dog Days of Summer by Kathleen Ubarbo. This is book 2 in the Gone to the Dogs series, and I had so much fun with this. Absolutely adored it. This is book 2 after Off the Chain. So Off the Chain is here. I really want to get a copy of book 2 because I just love having that on my shelf. Look how cute, like book 1. So I loved Off the Chain by Janice Thompson, and this is like a series where Janice and Kathleen are like going back and forth with everything, and so love the series. This was especially like, I don't know, I have an attachment on this book 2 because I live in Tennessee, and this like had a Nashville country music star, so I was here. Like I love that, and so this is just a great continuation of the series. It's a cute Christian cozy mystery, and I just got that extra bonus because we had a country music singer, so hey. So I give this 4 stars. This is centered around Trina Potter, and she, like I said, she is a Nashville country music star, and so she buys a ranch nearby in her hometown in Brenham, Texas, and so she is trying to help her niece Mary, and we saw her in book 1, and so where she's opening a rescue facility for the dogs to rescue dogs that are in need, and just like in the first book, there's people that ain't happy about this. So we start this book off with somebody trying to get a bomb, and it's not good. Like, they're trying to just ruin the fact that Mary's trying to do a rescue facility. Why you care? It was the whole thing. So there are people that are not happy that she's trying to do this rescue facility. So all these mysterious accidents start happening, and they're just trying to stop her from creating this awesome rescue facility for these dogs. And so the story takes off from there, but the series is really cute. I really enjoyed seeing their journey as, like, we're trying to see them make the Second Chance Ranch dog rescue facility happen. We get to see that she is seeing her high school prom date, Wyatt, and that was fun. That was a really cute relationship that was blossoming there. They had went to prom together, and they were, like, reconnecting. I love that. Very heartwarming romance, and I really like to see the aspects of Trina's career shown front and center, and how she came to love just this small town, because I'm from a small town and we love to see it. Trina's mom was also a main character here. She was hilarious. Everybody will love Mama Peach. She's feisty. She can hold her own. And let's just not forget that she got this cat. Okay, y'all, this cat, I was dead. This cat can, like, call 911 for her. It was just crazy. I was loving it. Y'all spilling my coffee. This ain't good. Hold on. This cat was like, he can open the doors. It's like, he is a rescue cat, okay? He can help people. It was really fun. I think his name was Hector, but I loved him. He's like saving the day more than one time, you know? And so we love to see that too. And Trina's love for her mother was so sweet, and how quickly she uprooted her life to go there to take care of her when she was sick was really uplifting to see. And so, yeah, the mystery was intriguing. It's almost like a real life type mystery. Like, it's really realistic, because it's not like the whole thing's about the mystery. You get to see aspects with the family and the friendships and the dog rescue stuff. That's cool. I like the ending a lot. I really liked how they explained the ending very well, and it was really wrapped up nicely to continue on in the series. So I do have book 3 that's coming out, I think, in January. It's on my NetGalley, so I do plan to read that too, because this series is just a lot of fun. It's cute, cozy, Christian. There's some faith content in here. Just something that's going to leave you with all the sweet feelings that you want in a book. And so, yeah, 4 stars. I hope that you all will pick up this series, because it's a lot of fun. Next book I read was Oath of the Brotherhood by Carla Laureano. This is a Christian fantasy that I had a really great time reading, y'all. I give this 3.5 stars. I rounded it up to 4 on Goodreads. So it's like on the plus side of 3.5. I'm not typically a fantasy reader, but I am dipping my toes into several different fantasy books right now just to see what I think of them. And I really enjoyed this. I'm planning on continuing with the series because I need to know what happens. But I did get confused several times with things here. I had a hard time keeping up with the names, the cities, and that's really on me because, you know, I didn't take the time. I should have. There's a glossary here and a map in the front, and I could have just, it even shows you how to pronounce it and everything. I could have done that, but it's just like 3 pages of names. I mean, so it was a bit much for me on that side, but so I think that's why I struggled a lot with this, but I enjoyed the story itself. This has got like a really medieval Celtic vibe. Love those aspects because I love like Lord of the Rings and anything Scottish and Ireland I'm here for, so I just really love the vibes here on that. I feel like this author really beautifully interweaves the Christian faith wonderfully. Like, the themes in here are great. We see God and Jesus. They're different names in this world, but you know that's the Christian theme. You know what I'm saying? It's a beautiful allegory. And then the story itself is centered on two main characters, Connor and Anya, I want to say is how you said it, because it was A-I-N-E, but I pulled up the audiobook to try to make sure I like what it was. Anya. Yeah, Anya. So Connor is a musician and a follower of a forbidden faith. He was raised in a foster family, but he is the son of the king. And he wasn't really taught how to fight in his training, and that is really important. Like, being able to use your sword and your bow is a really important thing at this time. I already talked a little bit about this in my vlog as well, that I did last week, but like the introduction of it. But he studied languages and subject matter more importantly than battle, you know, like using a sword or a bow. And so in this world where it's really important to defend yourself and know how to fight, he goes to see his father, the king, and his father's like, you are no son of mine because you didn't learn how to fight. And he's talking to the guy who was his foster dad, and he was like, why didn't you teach him how to fight? And everything gets crazy. So he sends him off to this rival kingdom, this foreign land, as a political hostage, and things go on from there. But while he is there, he ends up falling in love with their king's sister, Anya. I think I've got this right. I really hope I know what I'm talking about because I was confused some, but I think that's what this was. He starts to realize that he has a special gift tied to like music and magic. It's like tied together. He's training with this Brotherhood. The kingdoms start coming under attack though while that's happening, and so Connor is like trying to do everything he can to protect Anya, and it's like, what? So it was crazy. And then Anya, we had a lot of her perspective. I really liked her character. Right now it's leaving me what was happening with her, but like I really liked her parts. I remember because she just felt like it was a story of her own for us to follow, and which is really intriguing. So the romance in this is cute too. It's very small though, very small part of this. This is mostly fantasy, battle stuff, medieval, Celtic vibes. So yeah, 3.5 stars. I want to continue on with book 2. I'll probably listen to them on audio because the narrator is great, and especially because with all the names and stuff, I gotta think. I tried to listen on audio for the first time with it, but like I had to physically sit down and read at least to get going, and then I was okay. So yeah, like the ending, and I think it's a great Christian fantasy to get you going. So yeah, 3.5 stars. I hope y'all pick this one up too. If you like fantasy, you'd probably like that. I mean, I'm just such a new fantasy reader that I'm probably just, it's me, you know. I struggle with that stuff. So the next book I read was A Midnight Dance by Joanna Davison Politano. I read this only because Lindsay from the blog Books for Christian Girls had thankfully told me that you can't read this book, or you shouldn't read this book if you don't read this book, because this is her newest release, right? The Lost Melody. This is an adventure reader copy I had, and I was going to read this, and then I saw her review and was talking to her about it, and she said, yeah, it will spoil A Midnight Dance because there are characters from A Midnight Dance in here, but they didn't say that in this. But so that's why I read this one. I listened to it on audio. It was a quick audio book, and y'all, I had a fun time with this. If y'all didn't know, your girl used to be a ballerina. Insert picture here, honey. Hey, yeah, I did the ballerina stuff when I was like 8 or 9 years old. My granny had put me in there, and I love looking back at those pictures. But so I don't know, I had a lot of fun with this, and that's part of why I think I had a lot of fun with it. If you like dancing, ballet, you would really enjoy this. I still gave this 3.5 stars. Again, rounded up to 4, all the 3.5s. So this is all about Ella Blythe, and she is so dedicated to dancing and her mom. This story is primarily focusing on a mystery of an accident that happened to her mom, and then trying to figure out who was her dad, all this crazy stuff surrounding her dad. So Ella ends up meeting this charming man named Jack Dorian, and they end up working together the whole time just to try to figure out what they can learn about her mother and father. My favorite parts about this whole book is the dancing. We had a lot of great like ballet performances. It was atmospheric in that regard. Just a great lot of details. So those scenes just like captivated me because I can just remember like doing a little recital when I was young, and I don't know, I love that. It was so much fun. I could visually see it, and it was great. The writing in this also is just very poetic. Just atmospheric and beautiful. I really like the ending, but y'all, I was so confused. I'm sorry again. It's me, maybe, but like my downside to this is why it's 3.5. I was confused about the family storyline, and for some reason, I don't know what. I was confused. That's all I can say. There was like some back and forth, and I was like, who are we talking about now? Because I can't say without it being a spoiler, but like they kind of went back and forth a little bit on some things that I wasn't 100% sure on. So that's on me, but I should have, if I took the time to really figure it out maybe, but like I was lost a little bit on that audio. And then I really wish that like the faith of Jack could have been expanded upon. I had a hard time keeping up with who was who here. So yeah, the faith content is a good balance though. I feel like we have some good scriptures, some prayer. You really like dance stories, mystery, romance, especially like ballet, and especially ballet, you're really gonna like this. So yeah, 3.5 stars. And then after that, I picked up The Lost Melody by the same author. Y'all, this was intense. Okay. This book, oh my gosh, I did not give it 5 stars. I couldn't, but it's a 5-star level. I will say it's a 5-star level, but I had such high anxiety in this. I was like almost emotionally claustrophobic. I don't know how to explain it. It's just, I had the worst anxiety with this story. I'd listened to part of it on audio. I had to stop. I couldn't listen anymore. I had to just sit down and look at the pages and read it because there was so much going on. I was stressed that I was like, I need to know what happens. Please tell me this ends well. That kind of stuff. So, let me go ahead and jump into everything, okay? Because we're going to need a few minutes. Okay, make sure you get some coffee. Take your little break. Mine is done cold, but that's okay. All we care about is caffeine. So, okay. This, I'm going to have to relook my notes because I'm all over the place with this. This story had really great faith content. It's very suspenseful. It's unique. I don't think we've seen a story like this. At least I haven't. It's informative. It reminds you that there's light in the darkness. No matter what your situation is, the Lord is with you. I love this so much. I'm going to be thinking about this for a long time. I'm going to just sit this here. Hey, there we go. This is set in 1986 England, and this story is all about Vivian Mordaunt, and she's a well-known concert pianist. And so her father passed away. He's left her with several debts, and there's these mysterious payments that were being made to this asylum, Hurstwell Asylum. And so for this woman, they said was a ward, and a ward was like, W-A-R-D, was like somebody, I didn't know what this was, but it's somebody that like, they took guardianship over this person to, I guess they took care of this person. So he was sending payments. It didn't have to necessarily be a blood relative, but like he was sending payments for this person, this woman. And so Vivian goes to the asylum to see who is this woman that her dad was making payments for. And they say, well, we don't know who this was. What you mean? So they say that the person is not there. They never existed. They don't know who she's talking about. And the woman's name was Rosamond Swansea. So they call her Rose. But they say she was never there. She's never been a patient. And so Vivian starts like investigating all these things. She's taking this into her own hands. She kind of goes undercover in a way to work at the asylum as like an aide under this other name, Cora Fletcher. And so Vivian, but real fast, Vivian ends up getting more what she bargained for, y'all. Like, y'all, we know from the prologue, this book is going to make you want to read it from the prologue alone, because the minute I read this, I was like, nuh-uh. Oh my gosh, are you kidding? Because the prologue is from Vivian's perspective as Cora Fletcher. This is not spoiler, because it's a prologue, but it's her perspective, like being a patient at the asylum. In the book, you don't really know that from the synopsis, but y'all, this was crazy. So you know from the very beginning that something went wrong. Vivian is a patient at this asylum. What happened? So they say in the prologue, she's a patient there, and we cut to 3 months before. And that tells the story of how she gets there. And you're just like, okay, I'm on edge because I know from the prologue that the scary turn was taken for Vivian soon after she gets to the asylum. Things get crazy really fast. We're left as the reader wondering, like, who can we trust here? What's going to happen next? Are we going to get answers to these questions? Because I need to know. And it was just full of plot twists. The back of this book categorizes this as a historical romance. Y'all, this is so much more than that. I mean, this was like suspenseful. I mean, it's such a beautiful story of when we feel alone and lost in darkness, the Lord is always with us through every moment. It reminds me. Page 294. I marked it. Okay. I know this is going to get lengthy, but I got to read y'all this. This faith in this book was just wonderful. This is the kind of faith that means so much, okay? I dropped my head onto my hands and wept. Oh God, I can do nothing, have nothing. I had the sudden aching sense of facing a huge chasm a mile long with nothing to cross it but the minuscule distance my legs could stretch. Consumed with my smallness, I closed my eyes and prepared to let despair sweep over me and drown me. I braced for it, but instead, it was God's presence that washed over me. Powerful, unexpected, immense, and very welcome. It flooded my being, my hollow lack, with an undeniable strength that was lavished on me, father to child, cradling me with comfort and courage. I'm still with you, it seemed to say, and I felt it, just as he'd been with me in the larder and with Paul in jail, in shipwreck and torture. I spoke out in my heart, she's lost, God. Somebody, I ain't gonna spoil it, but somebody is lost. But she isn't, not to him. That answer came crashing like a second wave over the first, drowning out panic and covering me in an unusual calm. Somebody was found. I almost said it. Somebody was found. She was within God's sight and in the very palm of his sovereignty. I had been lost once, enveloped in such darkness that I couldn't even see the floor that was holding me up. Yet God knew where to find me, when to do it, and how to overcome the thing I feared most. This is where he existed, not in the perfection, but in the cold darkness, in the messiest tears, in the deepest despair, in the dirty floor of my prison, ready to meet me with his presence. Okay, y'all, this book, I mean, you know from the prologue, it's not a spoiler, you know from the prologue something that she's a patient at this asylum that wasn't supposed to be. And this is insane. It's insane. But the faith, like what she went through in this asylum was hard to read. This story really makes you realize what people in the 1800s and even early 1900s, like if you research what they went through in asylums, it's crazy. And it was just, you could tell the research was done by this author where we knew what these people were going through and the reasons were ridiculous that they put them in. It was like people just wanted to get people away from them and just lock them away for no reason. And so I really appreciated just how it shedded light on what these men and women were going through and how music therapy helped these people in such a great way. And so, yeah, the faith was my favorite part though. I mean, I could go on and on. It really related the story to Paul, well, of what Vivian was going through so well, just as you saw. And it was like, Vivian was a character that you could see on page. I mean, you could emotionally feel everything she was dealing with. I loved her so much. God was truly present in all the right points in this, and his sovereignty and peace was over her. It was great. I mean, and then there was a part where, like, she kept hearing with this one character, wash her feet. Mercy and beauty, I'm telling y'all, my heart. If you know that part I'm talking about, you know. And so, yeah, it was great to see the characters from A Midnight Dance too, but like, I see where we're spoiled in that, and I feel like we should know that that this would spoil that. Like, I know that these can be read as standalone, but, you know, if you read this by itself and you did want to read A Midnight Dance, you're kind of going to know what happens with those characters, and I don't like that. So, also, the side characters in this are really good. Dr. Turner, he was like a hero. He was great. We had Lou, Clara, Bridget, Anna. What they went through and what they were going through, they were just amazing side characters. But like I said, this isn't an asylum, and there was a lot of hard things these characters went through. If you're someone who is sensitive to medical trauma, mistreatment, or asylums, I would steer clear of this, because this book takes place in the majority of an asylum, and there's mistreatment, abuse, and different hard topics discussed. And so I just want to mention that. But this is a 5-star level book, y'all. But like, I feel like because I had just such a personal level of anxiety reading this in my experience that And I had to reread several parts to figure out where are we with this, like what's going on, because we had a lot of back and forth. And so that's why it's 4 stars. But y'all, I can go on with this because I was fully engaged in this and I could not put this book down. I read this in a day. One day. I read this in a day. I was like, I gotta read this. So I'm so thankful that Baker Publishing sent me this to honestly read and review. I'm definitely going to be on the lookout for more of Joanna's works. Some people have said if you like Jamie Jo Wright, you would like her books. I have not really read Jamie Jo Wright. I tried to read The Souls of Lost Lake and I got too creeped out a little bit, so I ended up putting it down. But other people have talked about other Jamie Jo Wright books that I might pick up in the future. But yeah, definitely recommend this if you are interested in anything I talked about here. If that's kind of like your jam, it's a good fall read, I think. But just be aware of that content because it was hard to read some of what they went through at the same time. So yeah, 4 stars, and I'm so glad to have read it. So anyway, and then are we gonna get done with this? I'm sorry, this is long. Another break here, or as Chrissy says, the intermission. All right, last book. Whew. I just talked about this in my vlog, so I'm gonna try to be brief. Okay, hit myself with the book. There we go. All right. Okay, I'm about wore out. The Secret of Emberwild is the last book that I read this month. Stephania McGee, I want to say that's how you say her name. Sorry if I'm wrong. We'll set that there too. If you like horses, a good Southern story, you're going to like this. I also gave this 3.5 stars. I rated it 3 on Goodreads. This story has got lots of like mystery, romance, and family drama stuff going on. I really liked a lot about this story, but it was just kind of like similar to a lot of stories I've read already. So I just didn't feel like it was unique in any way, kind of a cliche story. And so there's a lot of good things in this book though. So let me tell you what this is about. The story is set in 1905 Mississippi at Emberwild Horse Farm. I really appreciate the details we had here about the Southern setting, the discussion surrounding women's roles in the early 1900s. Our main character of Nora, she is like an independent woman. She's a horse trainer. She loves helping out on the farm with her family. She's struggling with everyone else like wanting her to be the sophisticated woman who women don't need to be out there with the horses. So, you know, she don't want to be doing that. She wants to be like with her horses and the farm and do what she usually did. The story starts off with Nora's dad passing away, and with his dying breath, he is saying everything we have is a lie. He doesn't want her to tell her mother what he said, so she doesn't really talk to her mother about what her father said, and she's just trying to like figure out everything. What did he mean by this? She's worried about it. Her uncle Amos comes in, and he says that the will left everything to him to manage so that the mother didn't have to worry about everything. Nora don't believe that. She is questioning that from the very beginning, that doesn't sound right. Things just don't really seem right to Nora, especially when Silas Cavallero comes to town and she starts out in her own investigation of things. Uncle Amos is pretty much trying to change her life as she knows it, tear everything apart with the farm, and like they're trying to marry her off to somebody, and all this crazy stuff. And she wants to be an independent woman and not deal with this. She's going to try to take her life back. Meanwhile, we have another point of view of Silas Cavallero. He comes in. His father passed away 15 years ago from a tragic accident, and nothing ever seemed right with that accident. The horse was gone, missing 15 years ago, and now it's like the mother passes away and she says, son, you need to live your life. Go live your life. And so he decides to go back to Mississippi to try to figure everything out, like look into the past. His father's death just didn't seem right. So he goes back to Mississippi and is questioning and investigating his father's death. He ends up getting a job at the farm, the Emberwild farm, with Nora. They meet, they kind of build a relationship, and they're each kind of going back and forth with their stories, and she's wondering if she had anything to do, her family had anything to do with Silas's father's death, and everything goes on from there. So yeah, I had a good time with this story. There's a lot of details surrounding horse training, So I've never rode a horse, y'all, and so I don't know a lot about horses. I like a good horse story, but this had so much detail that I was taken out of the story a little bit, and it bogged down just a smidge. But if you really like horses, y'all gonna be loving this, because it had a lot of great details with colts and the different horse training and races and all that stuff. I really like, my favorite part here was like the family drama, the mystery on that. Like, I need to know about that. The romance between Silas and Nora was cute. They had a really cute little romance start to bloom. I really liked this story, but like I said, it was a bit cliche and, you know, compared to some of the other books that I've read, but I had a good time with it. I was turning the pages at the end real fast, wanting to know what happens. So I was glad to be on some reading sprints so I could get this book read and finished. And so, yeah. Also, I feel like there wasn't as much faith content as I would have liked. There was a little bit sprinkled throughout, but it's not as in-depth as I personally would have liked. But yeah, 3.5 stars. Rated up to 4 on Goodreads. Thank you to Baker Publishing for sending me this to honestly read and review. If you like horror stories, this is going to be your jam. But anyway, that is it for my wrap up. I am sorry this took so long. I feel like I've been talking for an hour. We'll see when I get the edits in. I have started, if you didn't know, which y'all probably done know from the vlog, I have started A Voice in the Wind, 1 chapter in. So, gonna be on that. It's happened, okay? So, stay tuned on the thoughts on that. But, yeah, thank you all for watching this video. Let me know in the comments down below if you read any of these books. Which one of these sounds the most interesting to you? Are you gonna pick any of these up? I will have the books linked in the description below. If I can find them from the publisher, I will link the Amazon and the Baker Publishing list, or Baker Bookhouse link, so you can purchase directly from them if you'd like to. They usually have really great deals, like 30%, 40% off, so I highly recommend getting it from there if I can find it. But yeah, so that's it for this video. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye, y'all.